Today, my guest is someone who runs toward danger when most of us would be running the other way. But first, if you're enjoying these podcasts, leave a review and tell your friends as it helps with the reach. Now back to my guest, Marc O'Brien. He's a firefighter and technical rescue specialist, which basically means he's the guy you want around if there's fire, flood, or chaos. With decades of experience, Marc brings not just guts, but heart and humour to one of the toughest jobs out there. Welcome, Marc.
Thanks, Belle. That's a lovely introduction.
Did you like that?
Yes, it wasn't true, but yes.
I wrote that just for you. So, Marc, be honest. Did you become a firefighter for the adrenaline, the free workouts, or the calendar shoot?
Yeah, well, that's a lot of what people see as the job of a firefighter. I can tell you it's not all glitz and glamour. There are certainly some times where you can hit the gym and yeah, it's a nice little byproduct of the job. But no, join the job to help the community largely. That's probably the easy answer to give you. There's a lot behind it, but it's an amazing job that you can help people in their lives.
So what inspired you then? What inspired you to apply for the job and become a firefighter, and how old were you?
Yeah, so I was quite young. I'd just left uni and was working in finance. That was always going to be a stopgap measure. I always wanted to do something that was going to get me out and about. Something a little dangerous, was always on the cards for me with the way I grew up. And yeah, so I was early 20s and the opportunity came up. I actually had a family friend who was working for the fire service, and it got me thinking about it. And when I started looking, I went, this is me. And it's been me ever since.
You just felt it fit. It just fit you. So maybe it's the adrenaline, the excitement, the rush, but also, like you say, helping people.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things. I could sit here for an hour and tell you the things I love about my job. The fact you get to work with people who are like your family every day of the week as well is, an amazing part of it too.
Well, not everybody has that in their career. That's really fantastic.
Yeah.
So can you remember your very first emergency call out?
I remember we call it a turnout when we're in the trucks and lights and sirens. So I do remember my first turnout. So I'd started that morning at Roma Street Fire Station in the middle of the city in Brisbane there. I'd met the crew. I'd had a chance to figure out just where I needed to be as a junior in the job. And then the bells dropped, as we call it. The station lights all turn on and the 000 call centre talks to you over the PA and they tell you what the incident is and what you need to do. So everyone's to the trucks, jump in the truck and off you go. So I remember sitting in between two, which turned out to be fantastic friends and amazing people and great firefighters either side of me, and looking at them. And I was frantic. I didn't know what to do or what was going on, and they were cool as cucumbers. So yeah, I remember it, 22 years ago.
Are you that cool as a cucumber guy now?
I like to think so, but ask other people around me and they might have a different opinion. Yeah.
Do you remember the call out, what it was?
Being in the city and being a firefighter, it was a false alarm. I have been to one or two false alarms since that first one as well. It's really
a good thing, really.
Yeah, look, it is. It's a necessary part of life. So, we're all protected in our homes by having a smoke alarm installed, and Queensland's great. They've got great legislation for that. And then a lot of those alarms in bigger buildings are then monitored by the 000 call centre. So if someone triggers an alarm for whatever reason it is, we respond in those vehicles as if it is going to be a fire or emergency incident.
Just one vehicle?
Usually two. Yeah, so different buildings, different situations can have different response. Most oftentimes there's two trucks or two pumps, as we call them, to an alarm.
And how many firefighters are in a truck?
Yeah, good question. So people probably don't know, but there's usually 4 bodies in a truck. So there's a station officer, so the person in charge of the truck, they'll sit in the front left. Then you've got 3 firefighter grade staff, and so one's driving and 2 in the back seat. So you make up a crew and one crew to a truck, and that's how we roll across Queensland.
And is that your crew each day of the week? They seem 4 in each truck, same truck, so it's like your vehicle?
Yeah, it definitely can be. So that crew oftentimes stays together and rolls around. So everywhere you go as a crew. So if you need to leave the station, you're taking the big red truck and you're taking all 4 of you, regardless of what it is.
Like you say, like they're like family. You go through some pretty traumatic experiences together.
Yeah, it is. It's the experiences you see in the job, but it's also living with people. So I've always said it's like my second home being at work, and it really is, because we, on our shift cycle, we'll work 48 hours over 5 days and you get to know them. They're your family.
You know them probably better than your partners at home. You have more conversations about your feelings and your thoughts and your emotions probably than with your family.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got kids. When you're at home with your partner, you are busy and struggling for a conversation. When you're at work and, if we're not training or maintaining equipment or out on operations, then you're in that station with those same people. So you get to know them really well. And then over long careers, firefighters tend to have long careers because it is one of those jobs that people tend to get and then stay in because it is a fantastic and rewarding experience. So
They love it. And do you think that the training that you receive really sets you up for what you're experiencing every day?
Yeah, luckily enough, and this is again one of the great things about firefighting is you're rarely ever alone. It's rarely ever just you that needs to undertake something that's going to be dangerous or challenging. Usually as part of a crew, and if you're firefighting, there's always at least two of you together. So what you don't know or what's unfamiliar to you, the person beside you may have seen or could fill the gap in your knowledge that you might have. It is really good training. It's great training. There's a few months worth of intensive training. And then when you hit the station, you're mentored and guided through another series of a number of years, like an apprenticeship. And over that time, you build on your skills, the very basics. Yeah.
How long are you a junior for?
Well, you're junior rolling out of the academy, and then depending on where you're stationed and the crew around you, you might be called a junior for a long time.
If the guys are a little bit older that are in your crew.
Yep, yeah. There's I tell the juniors that roll through my station at the moment, I always try and lighten the mood about being a junior, and give them some heart that it's not going to be too long. But there was a great story. One of the stations on the north side of Brisbane had a slightly older crew at a quieter sort of station. In days gone by, it was always the junior's job to clean the toilets. So junior's job, into the toilets, off you go. And I did my fair share of that. I cleaned plenty of shitters at plenty of fire stations. That's just the way it rolls. But the junior man on the crew at this particular station had been in the job for 23 years. And he was still a junior in rank. It was just unfortunate for him. But no, look, you're junior for a few years. You gain your rank progression, you learn the ropes, and then hopefully pass it down to someone else.
Yeah, no, that's great. Are there any call outs that you can't seem to let go of? So tell me that.
Yeah. Looking after yourself mentally is huge for any first responder, anybody in the armed services. And I know you were just talking about a Vietnam vet that you'd recently talked to. And back in the days of Vietnam, there wasn't the support that you probably had now. And we are really blessed to have some really good support services and then good knowledge about how to look after ourselves as well, because mental health is a huge thing and you've got to look after it just as much as your physical health. So on the topic of have things stuck with me, there's absolutely been jobs that stick with me. Everyone's different, what affects them and what stays with them. For me, it tends to be anything that's associated with kids, and in particular, kids of my daughter's ages as well. They're hard because you really do associate with them. And you've got to try and reconcile that you've done your best to help in those situations, whatever the outcome, and then try and focus on making sure you can let go of it after the job.
And then I guess you'll go home and hold those girls tighter that night.
Yeah. Some days they know when you come home. You don't let them understand what's going on, but they know that you just want a hug, and that's what you need.
So tell me, what is a technical rescue specialist?
Sure. So technical rescue is like an advanced discipline of the standard sorts of rescues that firefighters undertake. So again, Queensland's lucky. Our firefighters across the state are all trained in a very high level of rescue across a broad range of disciplines. Technical rescue focuses on 5 specific disciplines. So the swiftwater rescue, people that unfortunately drive into flooded roadways during summer storms, that kind of incident. There's vertical rescue, which is a rope rescue discipline. There's trench and confined space. So if trenches collapsed or in places like sewers and stormwater drains. And then finally, urban search and rescue, we call it disaster assistance now as well. And that is building collapse, earthquake zones and whatnot. So all firefighters in Queensland train that basic level of all those disciplines. And then you can apply to become a specialist in technical rescue, and you get advanced training in all 5 of those as well. So at the end of it, you can ride the specialist vehicles that attend specifically those more complex, dangerous jobs. And then also part of a team that is deployed by the United Nations worldwide to assist in earthquake zones really across the globe.
At your fire station, how many technical experts are there?
So luckily at my station, and probably because of my skill set, I've been there for a long time, we do run one of the specialist rescue trucks that Brisbane has. Yeah. So at any point in time, there's anywhere between 2 and 10 extra specialists at that station as well.
Pretty safe with you guys around.
We try.
I know that in the floods back in 2022,
Swiftwater rescue.
the Swiftwater rescue, In the floods, we
Yes.
saw the swift water rescue vehicle going past down here near the river, flooded really severely, and there were loads of people stuck in their homes, and we were always wondering if it was you guys from Roma Street or where it was coming from.
Yeah. So that I didn't 22 didn't get out this side of town, but spent a lot of hours in a wetsuit pulling people out of some really tricky situations. I was also lucky enough, and I stay lucky enough to be the technical rescue coordinator at that point in time for Brisbane region. So I was in charge of the 105 specialist staff that Brisbane has for advanced rescue, and in particular in that advanced swift water rescue. So they were my staff that I felt responsible for out in the field. Rescuing those people, and did an amazing job. Like they pulled, combined thousands of people out of some really unbelievably dangerous and tricky spots. These, civilians didn't know that they were going to get into. They hadn't put themselves there. It was just a fact of the weather and a few things conspiring to put them in that situation.
Ask you, Mark, how do you consolidate and relax after an event like that? And I guess you have this most days of your life, a stressful event such as those floods, because I was working for council at the time, and it was extremely stressful. So there was 10 days there where we worked every single day, all day, all night. And it took me so long to recover. And that's you every single day.
Yeah, look, thankfully, there's ebbs and flows of a normal everyday firefighting job. That there's long stretches of maybe boredom and monotony in fire station life, and that's actually one thing you really need to understand how to deal with as well. During that event in 2022, it was absolutely manic. Like a situation that Queensland had never seen before. We thought we had it bad in 2011, and it got worse in 2022. So in the same boat, worked a whole bunch of days in a row with some insane hours, and did some things that really I never thought that I'd be undertaking out there. And it did take for me at one point to step back and actually see that I was pretty cooked, by the end of it. And it took a bit to try and recover after that. Thankfully, again, that's the outlier. It's not the norm. But general station life is busy. Like you're always on edge. You're always there. Don't know what's coming for you. What's the next job around the corner? So on days off, riding a bike, hopefully playing a bit of golf, catching up with friends and spending time with family. That's the unwind.
And you find your mind drifting back to what's happened that week, or can you shut it off?
So some weeks there'll be things that do, like you said, do sit with you for a little bit, and take some talking and reconciling. Other weeks, you jump in the car and leave the station at the end of our tour, and change back into home life.
And do you shield, when you've had a tough day, do you shield it from your partners as well? I know you wouldn't be telling your children all of this, but what about your partner? Do you try and shield them as well?
I know in the past I have had times where I've kept things to myself that I probably needed to share, and there's reasons for that. The way that I roll now with my partner, completely supportive, and she wants to be there for me and understand what's going on. Yeah. There's certainly parts of the job that I won't divulge because no one needs to hear or have that in their head. On a whole, sharing with someone who's honestly there and caring for you is a really beneficial thing, and I find a great sort of cathartic thing to do after, especially some significant jobs that we go to.
Yeah, the reason I asked that, Vietnam War veteran, he has a lot of PTSD, and it just comes on in the way of flashbacks. When he comes back from his little flashback, his wife checks in and asks him how he is and how was his trip, kind of thing. But he never tells her where he's been because it's so traumatic. Yeah. Look, I can't even begin to imagine what they went through. Every credit to them for doing it and still coming out the other side and soldiering on. But sharing the things that you've been through makes them so much easier. It also means you're not locking them away in a cupboard. Right. Not suppressing those emotions and feelings. Is there something like a RSL type for firefighters, like mates for mates? What have you got? Yeah, so it ranges right from the very beginning when you're sitting on that truck with your crew and debriefing or talking through what's gone on, through to peer support sessions. So other staff within the fire service who are specifically trained in sort of some mental first aid to be able to contact you after significant events, which does occur all the time, and talk through anything you want to talk through. And then we've got great counselling services available as well. So at any point in time, we can reach out and get some professional assistance, and it's there for us whenever we need it. And I highly recommend to all my staff to do that as an ongoing basis, as a bit of medication, as opposed to waiting to the point.
by the time you get to the point, and I've seen it far too many times with really good mates and really good people, if it gets to the point that the bucket has overflowed, it is really hard to get the water back in.
Yeah. And you've gone over the edge by that point. You've maybe so far gone, you may not make that phone call. Whereas, as you say, if you're constantly communicating about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And even just normalising it by talking about it does make a difference. You know, there's a lot of stats. There's been a lot of research on it, and yeah, making sure you have supportive people around you and reaching out for help is key.
And is any of the fellows in the firefighters, do they experience PTSD the way that veterans do?
Yeah, unfortunately, I've seen bunches of really good people, really solid, very down to earth, great at their job people, not being able to get back on the trucks because of PTSD. It's different for every person. You don't know what's going to trigger you or what's going to tip you over that point where there's no return. So the preventative medicine by sharing what you're feeling and getting assistance is key.
I guess that's also humanity. Everyone has got different levels of what they can handle, ways that they can compartmentalize what they've experienced or...
Yeah, absolutely. And, on a whole, people look at firefighters and go, you're this and that, and you can take it and whatnot, but you're just another person.
Yeah.
There's only so much people can take.
So did you know that when I was young, my house burnt down?
No.
So I would have been 5 years old, and we had a Queenslander big wooden home out at Minton, which is out past Warwick.
Yeah.
Out past Ipswich. And I was in bed. It was night time. My mum was on night shift in Ipswich Hospital as a nurse, and I was home with my brothers, and my father went to bed. We had a generator, by the way. So we had no power at the time. It would have been probably 1984. And I'm in bed asleep. It had just been Christmas. I've got all my Christmas presents. And then I just wake up in the night and I can see through my bedroom door my dad in the lounge room, and the whole lounge room is just on fire.
Wow.
And it feels like he dived through the flames to get to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the flames were behind him, but in my mind, he dived through those flames, scooped me up, took me outside, grabbed my brothers as well, and then we drove down the driveway and we just turned the car around and watched the house just light up like a birthday cake.
Yeah. Queenslanders, they don't give you a lot of time. Once they're going, they're going.
Yeah.
That's a massively scary experience as a young kid.
Yeah. So I always had, my husband laughs that I had a fan ban.
Yeah.
So we never knew what started the fire.
Right,
like, did Dad fall asleep with a cigarette? Did the generator spark?
Yeah, any number of things.
Fan catch light? We don't know.
Yeah, right.
So in my little brain, I was like, well, it was something electricity-wise, so we'll have everything off every night.
Yep.
So in summer, my poor husband had to sweat, fan ban.
Wow, what an experience.
I'm over it now. I can have the fan on at night now.
That's a good thing. I can assure all your listeners that fans are generally fairly safe things to be running at night. But look, I'm glad that everybody got out of that. It's absolutely scary. Thankfully, not many people do experience it. We've got very good fire safety procedures and obviously smoke alarms to alert people as well.
Safety switches.
Safety switches, all the progress has been made. And we're not old by any stretch, Belle, but years have gone by and progress has been made. So.
Yeah, and also it's amazing what kind of things you can pull out of a house fire too.
Yeah.
I remember going home and to the burnt down home, and we weren't allowed to go inside because it was burnt out. But my parents did go in, and Mum brought out photo albums. And they were all just blackened and crisped.
Yeah.
And I've got this memory of her sitting in our backyard with a knife, splitting them open, and all the photos were there, all of them. So the outside of these albums were burnt.
Yeah.
But so all of our kids' photos are like cut down because they're all singed.
That's amazing.
They're funny little shapes.
Yeah. It's sacrificial charring.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny the things you remember in those kind of situations. There's some people have no memory of most of it, but then a few things stick in their head. It's those adrenaline.
My long-term memory is so much better than my short-term. I could tell you anything about the past. But you asked me what I did yesterday, Mark. I'm like,
no idea what breakfast was.
Let me just check my diary. So something a little bit lighter.
Sure.
What's the weirdest call out you've ever had?
God,
The funniest, weirdest.
there are so many things. There's some interesting ones, and look, usually the weird ones do revolve around someone in a tricky spot or a situation where they'd otherwise not like to be in. So,
Are you talking about inserting something into their physical body?
yeah. So I thought about this last night when I was coming in, and I've got a lot of ambulance friends as well, and they're salt of the earth people. You know, they work for their keep. They're amazing. What I tend to find in discussions with ambulance officers, ambos, is they deal a lot more in the insertion side of things, and we deal more in the appendage into things, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So ambulance, if I've got something stuck inside me, but if I'm stuck inside something, it's a fireman.
Yes. Generically, that's the way it goes. Yeah, there are some
Oops, I fell over.
Yeah, pretty much. Male appendages tend to get stuck in things more often than you would imagine. And I'm not talking, like a silicon ring of sorts. I'm talking kilos of metal around male appendages that take multiple hours in medical surgeries to extricate male appendages from.
They just so embarrassed.
Yeah, sometimes they're sedated. Most of the time they're sedated, but people get in tricky situations, and there's probably a lot of reasons for that as well.
And do you just make them feel better and go, man, I see this every day?
Yeah, look, half of our job is good customer service and making people feel calm. So we are, and I like to think that I bring a bit of calm to situations where it's the worst situation in people's lives. And look, you don't get much more difficult situation than having your male bits stuck inside something completely naked.
And then 4 dudes rock up,
Yep.
2 trucks, 8 dudes rock up.
Yeah. So they
that is the worst day of their life.
There's some embarrassing situations.
Yeah.
Some people would have seen me chasing or corralling a nude person on the inner city bypass after a car crash to make sure they weren't going to proceed back out into traffic.
Is that a fact?
Yeah, these are the things that pop up in your day. You're sitting there just doing some paperwork, and then the next minute you're like I said, corralling someone completely naked, trying to run out in traffic. So there's some interesting things that pop up.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Any cats in trees?
Yeah, surprisingly. Cats. No, cats in trees. I actually saw a Facebook post the other day. One of our crew rescued a magpie in a tree, and I have done that as well.
But that's not a 000 call, or that's not a fire station call.
It is. People call 000 for everything. You'd be surprised at the things we get 000 calls for. And cats in trees. I've climbed a number of trees to get cats down out of trees.
And cats are so nimble; they could easily get down.
Yeah.
If they're hungry, they're going to come down.
This is it, right? So the old saying, that the old time fire is, you've never seen a cat skeleton up a tree, have you? Yeah, let him come down by himself. But no, they get scared and they go up and they keep going up. And they make life difficult. Yeah.
I thought that was just a myth.
Nope. Unfortunately not.
Myth is not busted.
Yeah.
So would you think that dark humour is your therapy? Is it a side effect of being around fire and flood 24/7?
Yeah, it's probably a bit of both. You have to let some steam out. We see and do things that people shouldn't have to see and do, but someone has to, and that's fine. We sign up to that, but there's got to be a relief valve, and sometimes it is a bit of dark humour. It's within the crew. It's respectfully done, if you could put it that way, but it's purely there to get rid of a bit of steam. Yeah, making light of a situation is probably another way of, like you said before, disassociating from that situation, because some things are just bloody terrible. There's no getting around it. So if you can have a chuckle about something that's bloody terrible and try and move past it, then it may make it easy to deal with.
It's the way we handle it, right?
Yeah.
I'm the same. I've got the dark humour when it comes to trauma, for sure.
Yeah. And, look, we live in a society, we're a government organisation, so, we have to abide by all the policies, rightfully so, treating people with respect and codes of conduct and all those things, which we absolutely do. But by the same token, we're not sitting in an office sending emails. We do a lot, but not all the time. And there's things that we have to deal with and see that do require some different approaches.
Yeah. Well, I think it's amazing what you guys do. Back to what I said in the beginning, with the photo shoot calendars and things like that. We do have in our minds, myself, what I think of a firefighter is, a big, strong, good-looking guy, calendar shoots, gas station, cooking each other food. That's just the thought. But really, you guys are one of the hardest of people, because, again, what you can go through, come out the other side, go home, being the loving father that I know that you are, it's incredible, and hats off to you.
Yeah. Look, one of the great things about the fire service is it's a diverse range of people. That's people from every walk of life. From
So good-looking women too.
absolutely.
Are there women photo albums?
Yes, they have done a couple. Yeah, absolutely, they have done a couple. But you mentioned female firefighters, and people ask, are there female firefighters? And my answer is yes. But they're all firefighters. If you wear the uniform, you get on the truck, you're a firefighter to me. I don't care whether you're tall, skinny, black, white, female, male, anything in between. You're a firefighter, and some of the most spectacular people that I work with, and females included, amazing firefighters, just brilliant people, every walk of life, and that's what makes us a great organisation. The diversity that's there as well.
What was your favourite movie growing up? Backdraft?
I did love Backdraft.
So did we.
I watched it a few times over.
Paul was pretty good.
Yeah, we go. That has been tossed around the station a few times in corny situations.
Of course it has. Okay, Mark, I'm going to give you the question that I give all of my guests at the end of our interview. Have you seen, Mark and Brian, a ghost or a UFO?
No, they don't exist, Bill. I'm a pragmatist.
So you've never seen? Well, I've never seen one either.
You want to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
If one popped up, I'd be glad to see it.
Oh,
I've seen a lot of crazy things.
So I've never seen a UFO. I've never seen a ghost.
Mm.
But my guess, the reason I ask, is because it is one of them have seen a UFO. So we're down to about what's 15 divided by 1 in percentage.
Oh, you got me.
Okay, whatever that percentage is, that's how many have seen a UFO. But about probably 60% have seen ghosts.
There you go.
Yeah.
They're good odds. Maybe I'm not looking in the right place.
Yeah, well, they're not showing themselves to me either.
Yeah. I can tell you the city on Friday nights, there's some odd things going on, but there's no ghosts.
So the fire station hasn't got any either?
No.
Nothing freaky?
No. Although our school did.
Right. So Mark and I went to school together.
We went to Mount Maria at Mitchelton.
We did. And there was a ghost. I never saw her. You know that I went to the school one night.
Yeah.
And I was let in with my friend, and we went up to that attic.
Wow.
And we sat up there at night time. We had a candle lit and some sage. And the ghost, whatever her name was, did not show herself.
That's rough, isn't it?
Yeah.
There was a chance. You could have been one of the 60%.
But do you remember the old bloke who was the groundsman who had the dog called Yo?
Yes.
Probably Joe, but Yo.
Mm.
And he was like an Alsatian.
Yeah.
So I was talking to him one day, and he said to me, because I was doing my ghost interviews with all the teachers, and he said to me, just for the listeners, our school had a pool outside the classrooms, and above that was all these louvers, probably 50 metres of louvers along a walkway. And he went one night when the school had closed, and he closed all of the louvers like he does every day after school finishes, and him and the dog went back downstairs to leave, and the dog started barking and turned around, and all the louvers were open.
There you go.
That's what he said.
It's close enough to proof.
Yeah. And you remember JT?
I do.
So he was a guidance counsellor at school. He was a living legend.
Yes.
Love that guy.
Yeah.
He saw it a few times.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Keep looking.
Yeah, I will keep looking, but I've never. Well, Mark, you, again, like I said, thank you so much for what you do, not only for Brisbane, but for your mates. I think it's incredible that I think you would be a wonderful person for people to turn to if they're having a rough time or even for fun. You're a great guy.
Thanks, Bill. I'll try.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.